Hey guys, welcome back. So we're returning for part 5 of Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. And early on in this one, we dive a bit deeper into the reasoning behind why Godzilla's doing what he's doing. So with that said, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so coming back, first we pick up at the Watchtower with Lois Lane, who we saw in the last issue make a phone call, asking someone on the other end to tell her every move Lex Luthor has made in the past 24 hours. And on the other end, when they asked Lois what she was looking for, Lois told them a red stone. Well, jump forward to now, we find out that the person on the other end of this call is Mercy Graves, who we've seen a number of times throughout this series. She's Lex Luthor's personal assistant / bodyguard, who on occasion will leak information to Lois in exchange for Lois calling in favors on her end from time to time to help out Mercy in return. But the only thing she tells Lois here, at first, is that the red stone she's looking for is called the Dreamstone, and it's missing right now, alongside of Toyman. So of course Lois lets her know that she's gonna need a little bit more information than that. And it's not like she needs to know exactly what Lex Luthor is up to, but she wants to at least have something that they can use against this dinosaur monster. So first, Mercy tells Lois that its name is Godzilla, and it's not some mindless creature. It's the king of the monsters, an ancient being whose purpose seems to be to maintain the balance of nature. Which of course has Lois asking Mercy how does she know all this information. So she also tells her how Lex discovered this when he went to Godzilla's Earth and discovered a facility that belonged to an organization called Monarch, who have been studying these monsters for decades. And after sharing these details, Mercy tells Lois that they have the files and she'll share them with her, but that's the best she can do. And really Lois is grateful for that because that's way more information than she had before. But after having this talk with Mercy, Lois then realizes that Supergirl was there the whole time listening. And it's here where the two of them actually put together the answer to why Godzilla's just been going ham out here. Because as the king of monsters whose purpose is maintaining the balance of nature, on his world there weren't any metahumans. So for the most part, Godzilla was just fighting other monsters who were out being where they weren't supposed to be. But now with him coming to this Earth, and coming across all sorts of metahumans, it's as if Godzilla's trying to preserve the natural order of a world that he's not supposed to be in. So from here, Lois shares with Supergirl the Monarch data which she got from Mercy. And just after this, we then head back over to Atlantis, where Godzilla's going up against the Kraken and Tiamat. And right now, as far as Aquaman and the others, they've got something like a plan going on right now, and I don't even know if I want to call it a plan, because it's more like a bunch of their only options put together. Because what they end up doing is having the Kraken take on Godzilla and Tiamat, while Barry, Aquaman, and Mera search for the beacon that's luring monsters out here. So this ends up leaving Green Lantern and Wonder Woman with these three titans in the job of trying to lure their fight away from Atlantis, which quickly starts to go sideways when the Kraken slams Godzilla and Tiamat into the dome at the same time, knowing good and well that the three of them all together is well over the weight limit. So of course this cracks the dome, which is like your last line of defense for the people of Atlantis. So now Hal Jordan's just using his ring to try to hold the dome together, and fortunately also at this point Barry finds the beacon, so he takes off with it, and Tiamat follows right behind him, and I mean like right behind him. But this also allows for the Kraken to only have to focus on Godzilla now, so it wrestles Godzilla down into the abyss, which is right where Aquaman wants him. But as Aquaman heads down into the abyss with Wonder Woman to execute the next step to the plan, this huge beam of atomic breath shoots out from down under. And it's kind of funny because 1 second the Kraken is dragging Godzilla down there and everybody's just like, oh hey, the Kraken, he got this. But then you see the atomic breath shoot up and then you're like, whoa, well maybe he don't. But to make matters worse, this shot damages the dome even further. And while this is going on, we jump back over to Oliver Queen for a moment, back over on Skull Island, where now after discovering that the League of Assassins are here to steal a huge skull, he's decided to make his way out of stealth mode to take these guys down one by one. But as he pokes his head out in hopes of seeing the silent takedown command prompt, he instead finds that every assassin on this boat is just out here waiting for him. So because he has no other choice, he just engages with the League of Assassins. But after quickly noticing that he's being overwhelmed, he sets off an explosion that knocks him into the water, so now he can get to working on the new plan, which is get help. And next we find out that Lois Lane has given Cyborg the data on Monarch, so he's passed them over to Batman. But as it stands, they're still waiting on an update from Atlantis. No one's heard anything from Shazam, and they know that Oliver's on Skull Island, but they haven't heard from him in some time either. But by way of the collective information that's made its way back, as well as the Monarch files that Lois got from Mercy Graves, they know that the mysterious island that Oliver's on is Skull Island, and there's a 300-foot tall gorilla out there named Kong, who, according to the Monarch files, is the closest thing to a good guy. So for Batman, the way that he sees it, if they're able to make Kong an ally, then he's all for it. And Batman also mentions to Cyborg that he sent him the elaborate plans for something that Cyborg would call ambitious. And right now in the Batcave, he's got everybody working on it. Batgirl, Signal, the whole Bat family's here, alongside of the Titans as well. So Batman lets Cyborg know that they're gonna get this thing built, but when they do, they're gonna need the help that only Cyborg can deliver. And it has me super curious about what this ambitious plan is that Batman's cooking up. Cause Cyborg lets Batman know that the original beacon's gone back active, so he's gonna check that out first, then make his way back. But also just after this conversation, Nightwing tells Batman that he has the specs for the cosmic treadmill, so now him and Wally will get started right away. And it just has me thinking like, man, are they gonna use the cosmic treadmill to speed up the production on some sort of Batmech? Because that would be pretty awesome to see. And next, when we head back over to Supergirl, who's now made her way back to Skull Island looking for Oliver, she gets there just to find Gorilla Grodd, who's brought a ton of his people from Gorilla City here to Skull Island to have them all honor and bow before Kong. Cause like we talked about before, when the Legion of Doom first got sent to the Titans world, the moment Gorilla Grodd saw Kong, Grodd acknowledged him as an ape god. So it only makes sense now with Skull Island being brought to his Earth that Grodd would bring his people here. So Supergirl ends up telling Grodd that Kong's not dumb, and whatever it is that he's doing here, it's not gonna win Kong over by any means. And Grodd goes on to let Supergirl know that he was expecting her to come back, which confuses Supergirl for a little bit, cause she's just like, why did he come back and bring his army? Cause she's definitely capable of slapping all of them to sleep. And the only other thing that this could mean is mind control. So she tells Grodd, your little mind control tricks won't work on me. And Grodd's aware that she can resist his telepathy, so to get around that, he brought Kryptonite to weaken Kara and make her attack Kong, which for a moment has Kong looking at her like, damn baby, what's wrong? Just before she starts swinging, which now mixes up things even further, with Gorilla Grodd now having Supergirl at his disposal. And from here, next we go over to Shazam, who's being very hard on himself, since it was his poor decision making that got Superman killed in that fight with Godzilla, which really, if we're being honest, he's not wrong. He did mess up and there's no questioning that. But right here, Cyborg reaches out to Billy just to see where he's at, if he's okay, and Billy doesn't respond. But when Batman reaches out, Billy responds to him, and he just goes on about how he screwed up, and how Billy believes that it's his fault Superman's dead. Which for a moment, this gives us more of that Batman talk about Superman not being dead and how they're gonna figure it out, but Billy's not trying to hear that. He's in his feelings. So he tells Batman that he's taken the fight to the Legion of Doom since they started this whole thing anyway. So Batman tells him, don't do it. You're outnumbered. You're not that guy. Channel that energy into a tactic that will contribute to the cause. Which, man, I feel like I'm saying that same thing to somebody on Overwatch 2 every time I hop on. And really, I think anyone who's played a multiplayer competitive game, or any multiplayer game for that matter, whether it's Overwatch 2, Helldivers 2, Call of Duty, you name it, because I think they all have a version of this same instance. Because regardless, we've all seen that one person who just likes to go out there solo and push deep with no kind of support and just get wrecked. Which to me, the way I see it, if you like getting destroyed, that's cool, to each his own. But the problem is, when people do this, your team is now a man short. And that is precisely what happens when Shazam takes the fight to the Legion of Doom himself, because he's just knocked out by Giganta, and now the heroes are one short. And it's bad enough that they're already spread thin as it is. But going back to Atlantis, we see Hal Jordan single-handedly holding the dome together, which is a huge feat in of itself, but because he's doing this underwater with 10,000 pounds of pressure on him, he's not able to hold it up for long. And it's not even to say that he doesn't have the willpower for it, but instead it's his physical body that just can't take these conditions any longer, not while holding the dome together. But just after Hal's done all he can do, we then see the arrival of Jon Stewart, Jessica Cruz, Guy Gardner, and Simon Bass, as they're able to step in and hold the dome together long enough for the people of Atlantis to be evacuated and taken to safety. And I'm not sure exactly why right here, but there's this moment where we see an exhausted Hal Jordan giving the other lanterns a thumbs up, and for some reason that moment was just funny to me. And not too far away over in the abyss, what we saw the Kraken drag Godzilla down into is here where Aquaman and Wonder Woman take the opportunity to chain down a distracted Godzilla with these huge nth metal chains, which should keep Godzilla from going anywhere anytime soon, since nth metal is one of your strongest metals in the DC universe, and these chains is anything but small. And next, when we head over to Lex Luthor, we find out here that he's completed the construction of Mechagodzilla. He's suited up, he has Mercy monitoring the system to make sure it's stable, so he connects, and now he's live. So Mercy asks him, how does it feel? And he only tells her one word: powerful. But right here, Mercy lets him know that she counts 4 Titans heading his way, which is likely because Mechagodzilla has a beacon that's drawing them closer, so she tells him maybe they should shut it down and remove the beacon, but Lex tells her no, let them come. They need to learn who the true Alpha is, which right there just lets us know that Lex is ready to put this thing to use. But also, much like how Godzilla is a force of nature on his world, king of the monsters and regulating the natural order, Lex wants to use Mechagodzilla as a tool to sit himself in that seat of power. Cause like we saw before with Project Atlas, Lex was already working on a version of this plan, so all he did more recently was use the data that he took from Monarch, which provided the specs for Mechagodzilla, to change the direction of Project Atlas, which is also why he was able to build his Mechagodzilla so fast. And I mean, not to mention him sending out all those beacons to distract the heroes in the meantime, cause that definitely bought him some time too. But nonetheless, going forward, Lex Luthor is ready. But that's not all, cause after this, when we go back to the League of Assassins, we now see that they're taking the skull that they'd stolen to this huge Lazarus volcano. Which, just to be clear, when I said this before, I was just playing. I had no confirmation that this was gonna happen, but here we are. Cause now the League of Assassins, they're about to have their own Titan. And I can't wait to see how this looks when it comes out, because this is gonna be wild. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.